Oi, fala aí pessoal, bom dia. Você está escutando o Inglês no Rádio. I am your host, Foster Hodge. This is your daily dose of English. Hey, what's up guys and gals? It is Foster from Inglês no Rádio. I am here with the one, the only,
I'm expecting your presentation about it.
Alexia Souza, coming from Rio de Janeiro. Actually, not true. You're in North Carolina.
But that's
But
true.
originally you came from Rio de Janeiro. Okay. So, Alexia, we have a very exciting topic today.
Before that, talking about Rio de Janeiro, do you remember when we were talking with your dad this past weekend or this Monday? I don't remember. And he was asking me which was the next match, Brazil's next match.
Right.
And I was like, oh, it's against Costa Rica. I tried to make it sound like very English, very American, but it didn't work.
No, it did not work at all.
Yes. And then I have a student, I think yesterday, and he was like, oh, who's Brazil's playing next game, next match?
Right.
And I was like, Costa Rica.
So the way we say it in English.
And she got it.
Yeah. If you say Costa Rica, ninguém vai te entender. The way we say it is Costa Rica.
Yeah.
So
Costa Rica.
with the O sound, you're really making the O like falou, O, Costa, é o som do schwa, and then Rica. Então é o R americano, Rica, som do schwa. Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Repeat
But
with
it
me.
was Costa Rica.
Much better. Much better.
But it was so funny because I tried to make sound like super American Costa Rica, but
Yeah, it happens. Part of the process.
yeah, now I know. Now you know.
Yeah.
And everyone is happy.
Yeah, everyone's happy. Those little learning experiences are what make it all worth it at the end. So, Alexia, today we're talking about something super interesting for me because it is a topic that I've recently changed my perspective on, which is unusual for me because I am very stubborn.
Yes, you are. I know
No, that's not true.
Yes,
I'm very
it's true.
open-minded.
It depends on the topic.
It does. Anyway, today we're talking about tipping.
Tipping.
So tipping, generally, we're talking about restaurants. We're talking about gorjeta.
Gorjeta.
Leaving money for waiters, little extras, something for the waiters. And the way we do this in the U.S. and in Brazil is super different, right?
Yeah. But what do you think about the services between these two countries?
Do I think that the service in restaurants is better in Brazil or the U.S.?
Yeah.
I think my first answer would definitely be the U.S.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, you have been to São Paulo and to Rio.
Oh, I've had great waiters in Brazil. But it also depends because when I eat by myself in Brazil, which happens a lot for some reason, next time I'm in Brazil, if anybody wants to eat with me.
Hey.
I'm just saying, like when you're working or something.
I was working in a company. Now I'm not anymore.
Okay, you are. Inglês no Cru. Incorporated. Yeah, so when I'm by myself in a restaurant in Rio, I cannot, for the love of Jesus, get the waiter's attention. I'm literally, at first, I'm trying to be cool, just like, boa noite. You can't see me. This is an audio, but I'm lifting my hands. I'm waving. I'm like, shopping. Irmão. Senor.
Amigo.
Amigo. And I'm literally invisible.
And what about me?
And when I'm with you, it's just like Alexia does, like this weird hand movement, and then our food arrives. There's some secret code that I do not know about.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a huge variety of experiences you can have, some good, some bad. But in general, I have to say, I think the service in the US is much, much better.
Yeah, the service in the US, it's more faster. Faster?
Yeah, you cannot say more faster.
It's faster. Sorry. I'm super tired. That's why.
It's okay.
It's faster
No
than...
one's judging you. I'm not judging you.
It's faster than in Brazil. And the people that works with waitering...
You could say waiters and waitresses or people that wait tables. Normally, we just say people that work in restaurants.
Yes, people who work in restaurants.
Or a lot of times we say people that work in the service industry.
People that work in the service industry, they take that seriously. Like, even though it's a part-time job most of times, or it's only, how to say that, just for a small period of time, like during college, because you need money to survive, I don't know, whatever.
Temporary.
Yes, they have a very good motivation behind that.
Yeah, because they're trying to make tips.
Yes. So, in Brazil, what I think about the service in Rio, I know that São Paulo is a little bit different. People look at that job as like a shitty one.
A shitty?
Yeah, shitty.
Language.
Amor.
What if my mom listens to this?
She won't.
She doesn't know how to use podcasts, but maybe one day she will.
They don't take that job seriously enough, and they don't like it. Like they see that as a just a small.
It's just a way to get by.
Yeah.
Which I agree with. I've waited tables before, and it's not fun. You have to deal with a lot of stuff.
But you had tips.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Okay, so let me briefly explain how it works in the U.S. So in general, in the U.S., we have what we call a minimum wage. You also have this in Brazil. I think you say salário mínimo. Como que é?
Salário mínimo.
Yeah. So in the U.S., it varies by state, but it's more or less like $8 an hour is the minimum wage. In some states, it's a lot more. In some states, it's a little less. But for waiters and waitresses, people that make money with tips, their minimum wage is $2.15. And then they make tips on top of that.
Yeah.
So on one hand, that's really good because they have a lot of incentive to take very good care of you, to treat you very well. On the other hand, it's kind of messed up because think about if you're in college, you need some extra money, and for some reason you have a bad night and no one gives you tips, you could work for like 4 hours and make $8.
It's horrible.
Yeah. So how does it in general work in Brazil?
Well, they have the minimum wage.
What's the minimum wage in Rio? It's like 800 por mês.
I honestly don't know if it's 800 or 900 right now.
Yeah, mas é muito pouco.
Yeah, muito pouco. And they have to work like 8 to 10 hours per day. And we have the gorjeta, the tipping. Okay, so the tipping, it's you have the final amount of money that you have to pay for the restaurant.
Right.
And
you get your check?
Yeah, and on top of that, you have from 10 to 20%, it depends on the restaurant that you are, that you give the tipping for the service. It's
already included.
No. I mean, there is the value without the service, and then the service, and you have the final amount.
So they are, in quotations, giving you the option, but on the check it says, okay, this is how much your meal costs. And if you add 10%, this is how much it costs.
Exactly.
That's what we want you to pay.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And I think that last year, there is a new law that says that 32% says that 32% of the tippings.
The tips. Tipping is the verb of giving a tip.
Of the tips, it has to be like comprovada. So you have to show it on the restaurant.
Right. It has to be documented in the finance sheet so they can give taxes to the government.
Yeah. So you pay all the check with the tipping. Okay. Everything's good.
With the tip.
Oh my God. With the tip. So everything's good. No problem at all.
Gotcha.
And then this amount goes to the restaurant.
Gotcha.
And the waiter or the waitress, they will never see it.
Yeah.
This is happening a lot nowadays.
Yeah.
There are some restaurants that don't do that. They leave the waiter take their own tips, but it's like super rarity.
Yeah. You can say it is a super rarity, but that is very rare to say rarity. I would just say rare.
It's very rare.
Yeah, or not common. Yeah, but I think that's a good thing because the Brazilian government and Brazilian politicians are really good at managing money. So in general, I'm in favor of it. It's not my country, but just kidding. So in the US, the way that a lot of places do it is some places will split tips. So everyone at the end of the night, all the waiters get together. Everyone puts their tips in a jar or something.
Na caixinha.
Yeah, I love that in like a lanchonete. I always went to
Feira. Na feira. A caixinha.
É, mas o lado da minha casa, o pim-pim.
Uh-huh.
É, todas as meninas lá, tipo de caixinha.
So in these places, this still happening.
Yeah.
So this thing that Foster will explain to you guys is still happening in small places and small restaurants.
Yeah, but in the U.S., we normally give in between 10 and 20%. I would say probably in between 15 and 20%, depending on the service. So, yeah, if you have really good service, maybe you will give a little bit more than that. Some restaurants will divide that between all the waiters, but I think most restaurants, you just keep that for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a big table and everyone gets a lot of glasses of wine and it's a lot of rich people and they give you a 30% tip on a $500 meal,
Ding, ding,
I'm not good at
lottery.
math, but that's some money in your pocket.
Yeah, but if you are in a very, very bad place inside the restaurant, like only the small tables and everything else, it's not that good. That's why most of people split their...
Yeah. And if you think about in the U.S., most waiters and waitresses are, for the most part, are young girls in college. And it kind of, I mean, I'm not trying to be too #feminism, but it does create a culture of like, hey, you have to put on a show for me, kind of, and then I give you money. It's kind of messed up.
Yeah. The first time that I came to United States, like almost 10 years ago, I went to New York and I was by myself. And it was my first meal in United States and almost my first trip all by myself. And I didn't know how the tips would work, the tipping situation. And I sat down I remember that it was snowing a lot. I found a place that I would like to have a soup because it was warm. And then at the end, the college girl, she showed me the check and she was like looking at me and she tried to be nice and she was really nice and said to me, do you mind if I explain you the check? And I was
explain to you
the check.
You always explain things to people.
And I said, no, not at all. And she was like, you have to tip here. Do not forget, here in the United States, you always give tips.
Yeah. The only time I would ever not leave a tip is if like something terrible happens. Like if someone is extremely rude for some reason, then I won't leave a tip.
Yeah.
Or if the service is just really bad, maybe I'll leave 5 or 10%.
And then she told me, you won't be mistaken if you always leave 10%. That's fine.
Yeah. 10%'s on the low side, but...
It was 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hate to do this, Alexia, but I have class right now, so we have to end the podcast. The last thing I wanted to say is it's weird that we tip people, you know? No one, can you imagine at the end of our at the end of my class, like, okay, you paid for the class. We agreed on the price, but you know, it's kind of a customary cultural thing for you to give me 20% extra. Where's my money?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what you think about it. I can discuss this with you later.
Yeah, it's weird, but I'm literally late for class. If you want to take private classes with me, we are closing Sound School, our personal pronunciation course, this week because we have so much stuff to do that we have to close it down for a month or two. If you want to do it now, go to inglesnuecru.com. I'm going to class. See you, Alexia.
Bye.